Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. So today I'm here with my unboxing and first impressions of the TCL 20 Pro 5G. This is their latest offering, their new flagship for 2021. It is the sophomore version of last year's TCL 10 Pro. They have made some changes, they have redesigned the body, it has some really cool looking features on here. I will say it is a sharp looking phone. I said the TCL 10 Pro last year was one of the best looking phones of 2020. This one is definitely, I think, better looking, and I think it's one of the best looking phones of 2021. Beautiful AMOLED display. It's got their NXTVision Display. They are known. TCL can really hammer things out in the TV and the display department. That carries over to their phones. So there's a lot of exciting stuff here. $499, available today, the 28th of June. Let's take it out of the box, have a look at it, and see what's going on. But before we get into that, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, thank you for being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Now, let's take a look at the new TCL phone. And here we are with the TCL 20 Pro 5G. This is their latest and greatest flagship model. It's the upgrade, the generational newer model over TCL's 10 Pro last year, which was a really solid phone. They did a good job with it. This one, they've redesigned some things. They've made some changes to the camera, the overall aesthetics. It is a brilliant looking phone, and you're going to see here in a minute, now that we get done with the handy dandy unboxing tool and we cut through the tape so we can see it, you're going to like the way this looks, just building some excitement and some anticipation. Go ahead and take this out of the wrapping so you can see it. This new color they have, it is marine blue is what they call it, I believe. They also have a gray color, and this one though, it really takes the cake. Like last year's I thought looked really good, and bam, look at this. Look how gorgeous this phone looks. You've also kind of got the two-tone effect there because you got the glossy on the left with the matte over on the right on the main body of the phone. The flush camera setup, you don't have the big bezels, the rings around it. It is very sleek. It is a sophisticated and sharp looking phone. This is not something I expected from TCL. So very surprising there. Very sharp, curved edge display, full 1080p plus, HDR10 rated screen, and it's just a gorgeous looking phone. So if you want something that looks sharp, that is sleek, that is not crazy expensive, because of course it's $499. It's got 256 gigs of storage, wireless charging, quick charging. It's got expandable storage up to 1 terabyte. They loaded this thing out really well, and it's very, I think it's on par with what the price that they're asking for it is. You've got the rest of the stuff in here, SIM ejector tool, you've got the free case in there. I wish it had a screen protector in here, but it doesn't. There's not one installed on the phone, so that is a concern there, especially with trying to get aftermarket accessories, especially so early on. But free case in here, it'll keep your phone protected. It has recessed cutout protection for the camera. It's got raised bezels around the edges, so if you want to place it down on a flat surface, it does add protection, and that's something that's super important with any phone, especially a brand new one. And it's got the nice open access for the ports, for the charger, for the speaker on the bottom. Only one speaker. I wish it had stereo speakers, but this phone is made to show off. So I'm really glad it's a clear case. There's the documentation you're not going to read, so go ahead and set that off to the side. It does have a charging cable in here, USB type A to type C, which pairs up with the power adapter. You can see here the connectors on both sides just to verify that USB type A, and then USB type C as well. So you're covered there for the power cord. You've also got the power brick, which is a quick charge. It will get you recharged 50% of your battery in about 35 minutes, which I think is pretty excellent. It's got a 4,500 milliamp battery. This is an all-day phone with the Snapdragon 755G and everything that it has to offer. It's going to get you through the day. You shouldn't have any problems there at all. Now, is it a 2-day phone? Probably not, especially depending on how you use the phone for your screen on time and stuff like that. But Android 11, it's loaded out well, and it's very, very relevant straight out of the box. So now that we've taken a look at what's inside the box, we've done the unboxing. Oh, also, on top, you got the IR blaster and the headphone jack here. Also makes it very special as well, because a lot of phones don't have that anymore. So let me go to get this set up, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about the phone. So here we are with the TCL 20 Pro 5G, and I've been using it for the last couple of days. I like it. I think it's a really nice upgrade over the TCL 10 Pro from last year. They bumped up the processor. We've got the 750G in here. If you're not familiar with it, it's about 8 months newer than the 765. Apples to apples, oranges to oranges, they're almost identical in performance. There are some areas where the 750 exceeds, there are some areas where the 765 exceeds, but when you water it all down, it's very, very similar performance, so you're not really missing out there at all. I actually thought that the 750 was a little behind the 765, but after doing some research and testing it out, and all the 765s I used last year, I feel very comfortable with this one. It's got 5G, it's got a 6.67-inch AMOLED display. Now, if there's one thing that TCL is known for, it's making really good displays. Why? Because they are one of the industry leaders when it comes to making TVs. I reviewed their TCL 5 Series QLED TV last year. I like it. I like what TCL does. They bring a lot of nice features and really good quality products at lower price points. This one is $499, unlocked, 5G. It's got the sub-6 bands. It's going to be able to work on Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. So you're pretty much covered for anyone that you want to use this phone with. And really nice. HDR10 certified, so you can watch HDR10 content on here, which is basically kind of the industry standard when you look at what's available out there, especially on streaming services right now. Netflix is really popular with HDR10 content. It is a really nice looking display. It's only full HD plus. It's not quad HD. I kind of want to ding it in that area a little bit because I really feel like Quad HD Plus is kind of where it's at, especially as you're getting closer to the 7-inch screen. I mean, 6.7-inch display. That is a pretty sizable display. It's got a nice curved edge. It seems like they've reduced the bezels a little bit, and it doesn't have that little circle, the dark circle around the camera that's this go around. So I like that they've made some upgrades there, but still, I would like to see Quad HD Plus. At $499, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of borderline, but it also doesn't have IP68 dust and water resistance. It does have wireless charging, though. It actually has 15-watt wireless quick charging. It has 18-watt wired charging, so you can recharge it from 0 to 50% in about 35 minutes, I believe is what it's rated at. It's a solid device. And one thing I'm really excited about, if you look on the back here, they have made some significant changes to the camera setup here. It reminds me a lot of the LG Velvet with the raindrop design, except all 4 of the lenses are created equal here, at least in size. You've got the 48 megapixel primary, you've got a 16 megapixel ultra wide, you have a 5 megapixel macro lens so you can take your up close and personal National Geographic shots. You've got your 2 megapixel depth sensor. The 2 megapixel depth sensor is very important because it helps capture more light at nighttime so you can get better night shots. It does have like a super night mode on here. I tested it out. You can take some night shots. It only works with the primary camera though, not with the selfie camera. And then it's also very good for making sure you get better portrait shots so you can get that bokeh effect. So it's very important that they add that in there. I know it's only 2 megapixels, but it actually serves a purpose. Now, front-facing selfie camera is 32 megapixels. They've upped the game in that department, so it does have a better selfie camera. Both of these take excellent photos in normal lighting conditions. I will have more on this in my full review, but in my unboxing and first impressions, I've been using it for a few days, and I think the cameras are okay. They're not the greatest in the world. They're capable of taking some good pictures. It seems like, though, definitely one of those ones where you kind of got to take like 2 or 3 pictures just to make sure it turns out exactly the way you want it, as opposed to a, let's say, a Pixel or maybe a Samsung or an iPhone where you get a much more reliable first shot. But still, very capable. Optical image stabilization on the rear camera, so that's a nice bonus as well, not on the front-facing camera. It does shoot 4K video, 30 frames per second on the front and on the back. It's capable of 1080p at 60 frames per second on the front and the back. Headphone jack, IR blaster, so you can sit there and use this as a universal TV remote. You can control your air conditioner with it. Whatever you have that uses an IR sensor, then you should be able to use this. It has NFC, so you can do your wireless, your contactless payment methods, so your Google Pay, all that good stuff. It also has USB-C on the bottom, and you've also got the SIM tray down there. It does support up to a 1 terabyte SD card though, so that's nice. You get 256 gigs of storage built in, and then you get 6 gigs of RAM. I really want to see them move up to about 8. I've been saying for the last year or two, there are a lot of phones that are trying to get by with 6, and that's fine. I mean, it seems like what we need for phones has not changed a whole lot over the last couple of years, but for future applications, I feel like eight's kind of where things are headed. Like 6 was okay like 2 years ago. Now 2021, middle of 2021, maybe it would be nice to kind of creep up to the 8 gig department, but 6 gigs is going to be totally fine. It's going to get you by. It's not something you're really going to have a problem with. And also, you're not going to be loading a bunch of 4K textures, not going to be loading a lot of 4K, games, quad HD stuff. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's going to work just fine for you. It's just me as a tech nerd. I really would like to see 8. But hey, 6 is going to be just fine. You don't notice any sort of performance decrease in this with 6 versus 8. And as they say, if you're not using all the RAM, you don't need more. So it's one of those things where it's kind of a balancing act. If you try to load like a whole bunch of stuff at once, maybe you could theoretically hit that. But with all the RAM management that's built into Android 11 now, which this is running, by the way, it should be okay. So no, it's not the end of the world. It's not that big of a deal. It's just me being nitpicky. It has 24-bit audio, so they say it's got high-resolution audio. You can plug in your headphone jack. That's nice. If you've got wired audio, that's something that's missing in a lot of more flagship-level phones nowadays. Apple ditched it. Pixel ditched it. Samsung ditched it in all their flagship phones. So these guys are keeping that alive. 24-bit audio over the wires. Not 32. It's not the quad-bit DAC that we saw before with LG, which is what they like to do. But 24-bit's perfectly fine. Aesthetic-wise, I think it's a really sharp-looking phone. I've got the TCL 10 Pro here, and as I alluded to earlier, the TCL 10 Pro I thought was one of the best-looking phones of last year, especially the color. I didn't think they were going to top that this year, and I feel like they did. I feel like this color, I like it, but it's a little bit too standoutish. This one right here looks more refined and polished. It very much reminds me of kind of an LG phone, especially like the Velvet. This phone reminds me a lot of the Velvet, but I really like what they did here. And then it's got this matte appearance on it, so you're not going to have to worry about picking up fingerprints. It's going to look nice. And then, of course, you have the included case for safety and making sure that you don't mess up your phone. But they did a good job with the design. I like the flush cameras. All the latest cameras on phones nowadays, they pop out. They've got the big circles. The iPhone is notorious for this. This I like a lot. I really like how it's flush. I mean, they don't stick out. So that's really, really nice. That's one of the things I can tell that they really went back to the drawing board and they said, how can we make this phone look more sharp and sophisticated and really stand out? And at the $500 price point, I think that it competes very well form factor and design-wise with a lot of other phones. Nice and well-weighted, good balance to it, and overall, it really is a beautiful phone. So you got the power button and the volume rocker over on the right side. You got the smart key over here on the left side. This is not something new to TCL. They had this in the 10 Pro. They had it in previous phones, like when they had the BlackBerry mobile license with the key 1 and the key 2. They had the convenience key. They call it the smart key. You can set this up as a customizable button. You can press it once. You can press it twice, like press it twice real fast, or you can press and hold it, and you can set it for different functions. So that's something that I like. Having the smart key or convenience key is really nice. It's running Android 11. I can't say exactly how good the software and security updates are going to be. I do like that it's got Android 11, but the security patch on here is several months old already, but this is pre-release. This is not something, it's not out on the streets yet. So I'm expecting probably a maintenance release shortly after it comes out to update the security patch on it. And I think they're trying to commit to putting them out at least quarterly. This is from memory. I know they're really trying to get better at this and trying to offer more security patches and better support for the phone. So we'll see how that is as the phone has been out for a little while, but since this one is not available yet, it's just now come out today, that's nothing that I can really evaluate yet. Also, if there's any kinks or any other bugs that other people have found that they've talked about when it comes to this phone, pre-release software. So we just got to wait and see if usually they address that stuff when it comes out. But I haven't really had any problems with it from my own experience. Like I said, I've had my SIM card in here. I've been using it for a couple of days now. I can't do my full review yet because I just got it a few days ago. But my first impressions are very good. The NXTVision 2.0 display on here that they've got going on, really nice. It's beautiful. The contrast is really good. It's not as bright as like a Samsung or the iPhones that have like the 1200, 1500 max nits brightness that you get on a lot of these newer phones. But this one peaks out around 700, if I remember correctly, and it's going to do you just fine. It's adequate when you're outside. Inside, it looks beautiful. They've done a really good job with the display on here. The performance is nice and snappy. The 750G is no slouch. I really enjoyed the 765 last year. I thought it was a tremendous, really good processor. So the 750 is going to get a lot of the same accolades when it comes to performance and the metrics there. It's a solid device. And yes, at $500, I wish it were kind of maybe around the $400 department. I think if you got it at $399, this would be an amazing phone. At $499, you do have to look around and see what else is there. The Pixel 4a 5G, the Pixel 4a. We've got the Pixel 5a probably looming on the horizon. You can pick up an LG Velvet pretty cheap nowadays. So there are some other phones that still compete really well with this for less, but they're about a year old now. This one is brand spanking new. So there are trade-offs always when you look at the phone landscape out there. It just depends on what you want, what you're going after, and what appeals to you. And this right here is one of the most beautiful phones that you're going to look at. I really like the way it looks. Very eye-catchy. One of the other problems that you might have to be concerned about is aftermarket accessories. Yes, you'll be able to find some on Amazon, but you're not going to be able to walk into a Best Buy and be like, oh, let me get a screen protector and a case for this. It's just not something you're likely to find. It's not widely available like an iPhone or a Samsung phone. So those are some of the trade-offs. But as far as this being their sophomore phone, I think that they've really made a lot of enhancements, and I think they've done a good job with it. Other things I want to talk about, it only has one speaker on the bottom. I'm not crazy about that. I really feel like it should have stereo speakers. There have been a lot of phones that have come out over the last year, $200, $300, $400 to have stereo speakers. I feel like this one should have that. It does not. Perfectly good for phone calls though. The handset speaker is nice. Biometrics, it has a under the screen fingerprint sensor. It's not the best in the world. It's not the fastest, and it's not the most accurate. So it really feels like they kind of put the same biometrics as last year. It's not really an improvement. I feel like maybe they said this is good enough, we'll roll with it again. I would have liked to seen some improvement there. Not the sharpest or the fastest in the world. You can see there it's not as good as its counterparts. And then you look at the facial recognition, it does work, so it may be actually a little faster than the fingerprint sensor. Let's try this again. There we go. It's pretty quick. So you've got both of them in there. You can set them both up and roll however way that you want. But overall, for the price point, for what they bring to the table, I think that it's a pretty solid phone. I've been enjoying it. I've been using it. And it does feel very much like a flagship performance. It feels very smooth. It feels very responsive. And it's not something that you're going to buy and be like, oh, this is kind of a slouchy phone. It's kind of laggy. It's kind of, you can tell this is a budget phone. I don't get those impressions here. It doesn't feel like a budget phone. It is $499. It's squarely in the middle of the $1,000 mark. So yeah, you might want to take a look around. This is definitely something to put on your shopping list if you're in the market for a nice unlocked phone that has a lot of nice features and has a beautiful display on it. So that's all I've got on my unboxing and first impressions. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know this is a lot of information. This is probably a lot more above and beyond what normal unboxing and first impressions is, but I've been using it. These are my thoughts. This is what I think, and I think they've done a good job with it. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.